Somewhere right now, someone is holding two lists. One has the reasons to stay, the other, the reasons to leave. The second one is longer, underlined even. And in the same minute she finishes reading it back to herself, she picks up her phone and types, "Hey, what do you think I should do?" She already knows. She's asking anyway. Ask her why she's checking, and she'll say something reasonable. She wants a second opinion. She doesn't want to be impulsive. It's a big decision, and big decisions deserve input. All of that sounds responsible. None of it explains why the list in her hand didn't already settle it. This isn't about one text message. Watch for it, and it's a pattern. Every decision above a certain size, a job, a relationship, whether to say the hard thing out loud, triggers the same reflex. Not a decision, a survey. And the strange part isn't that she asks. It's how much she already has before she does. A list, numbers, sometimes an actual spreadsheet. The information isn't missing. Something else is. Look around a group chat sometime when someone's in the middle of a decision. It's rarely one message. It's a thread, the same question, rephrased 4 different ways, sent to 4 different people, sometimes within the same hour. Not because the first 3 didn't answer, because none of them answered the way she needed. The question isn't really, "What do you think?" The question is closer to, "Will you say the thing I'm already thinking, so I don't have to be the only one who thinks it?" None of this looks like hesitation from the outside. It looks like diligence, thoroughness, the kind of careful, responsible behavior people get complimented for, which might be exactly why it's so easy to miss. It wears the costume of good decision-making while doing something else entirely underneath it, and nobody, including her, is checking underneath. The easy explanation is self-doubt. Someone who can't trust her own judgment, so she borrows other people's. Except watch this same person somewhere else. At work, she doesn't poll the office before sending an email. She makes the call and moves on. Give her a budget to approve or a hire to sign off on, and she'll do it in an afternoon, no committee required. Ask her to pick a restaurant for 12 people, and she'll have an opinion in 4 seconds. Delivered like a small verdict. So the self-doubt story has a hole in it. If this were general low confidence, it would show up everywhere. It doesn't. It shows up exactly in the places where something bigger than lunch is on the line. The decisions that could actually go wrong in a way that costs her something. Confident at work, where a bad call is forgotten by Friday. Paralyzed at home, where a bad call might follow her for years. And it's not even about size in a simple sense. She'll end a 5-year relationship over a single quiet conversation with herself. No polling required if the ending feels obviously right. But offer her a choice between 2 apartments that are both fine, both fairly priced, both perfectly reasonable, and suddenly she needs 6 opinions. The common thread isn't the stakes. It's the ambiguity. The moment a decision has no clean right answer, something in her stops trusting her own read of it, even though nothing about her judgment has actually changed. That's not a personality trait. That's a pattern with a very specific trigger. Second guess. Maybe she's not doubting herself. Maybe she genuinely wants better information. More brains, better answer. That's not an unreasonable theory. 2 heads and all that. Except she's not actually weighing the answers. When a friend tells her exactly what she doesn't want to hear, stay, don't take the risk. She doesn't argue with it. She doesn't even engage with it. She just asks someone else. No follow-up questions, no, but what about? Just a new name, a new message, the same question, word for word, like the last conversation never happened. Watch closely, and there's a second tell. The people she asks aren't chosen for expertise. She'll ask a co-worker who's never made a decision like this in her life, right alongside someone who's actually lived through the exact situation. If this were really about getting the best possible answer, that wouldn't make sense. You'd weight the informed opinions higher. She doesn't. Every voice counts the same as long as it says yes. And she keeps going. Not until she has the best answer, until she has an answer she likes. If crowdsourcing wisdom were really the goal, the first solid, well-reasoned no should matter. It doesn't slow her down for a second. In fact, the more people she asks, the more contradictory the pile of answers gets, which should, in theory, make things murkier, not clearer. It doesn't seem to bother her. A pile of conflicting opinions isn't a problem to solve. It's a pool to fish one specific answer out of. That's not what someone looking for wisdom does. That's what someone looking for a specific kind of yes does. There's a particular kind of silence that follows hearing something true you didn't want to hear. It lasts about 2 seconds. And in that silence, something gets decided, not about the advice, about whether this person counts. Because notice what actually happens next. The clear, well-reasoned answer she didn't want doesn't get weighed against the others. It gets filed away, discarded, quietly, like it was never really in the running. Ask her about it a week later and she might not even remember that someone told her no. There's usually a small tell in the moment itself if you're watching for it. A pause before she replies. Yeah, maybe. That doesn't mean, yeah, maybe. It means the conversation is over. This person has been quietly reclassified as someone whose opinion doesn't count toward the final tally, and the search continues elsewhere. It shows up in group settings too if you know where to look. Someone poses a question to a room, gets 4 thoughtful answers, and visibly relaxes at the 5th, the one that happened to agree with what they walked in already thinking. Everyone in the room assumes the conversation was a genuine deliberation. It wasn't. It was a search with one acceptable result, running in the background the entire time, disguised as an open question. Which means whatever she's collecting votes for, it was never a majority she needed. It was one particular voice, saying one particular thing. Everyone else is just noise on the way to it. Here's where it gets less about her and more about a much older piece of math. Economists studying decisions made under uncertainty noticed something back in the early 1980s. When people choose between 2 options, they're not only weighing the outcome they'll get, they're weighing something else too, the outcome they'd feel if they picked wrong, and later found out the other choice would have gone better. 2 British economists, Graham Loomes and Robert Sugden, gave that feeling a name in a 1982 paper. Regret. Not as a mood, as a cost, factored into the decision before it's even made. Think about how differently it feels to lose money on a stock you picked yourself versus one a friend talked you into. Same loss, same number on the screen. But the first one sits in your chest as, I was wrong. The second sits as, we were wrong. Or even, he was wrong, and I trusted him. The outcome didn't change. Who gets to carry it did. That's the whole mechanism in miniature. Not the size of the loss, but the number of names attached to the decision that produced it, which reframes the phone in her hand. Asking one more person before deciding isn't really about the decision anymore. It's about who's standing next to her if it goes wrong. If 4 people weigh in and it still falls apart, it was never just her call. Nobody sat down and did this math on purpose. But the behavior runs exactly like someone who did, spreading a bet across enough names that no single one of them can be blamed for the outcome, including her. Take someone we'll call Maya. Mid-30s, 6 years at a company that pays well and asks little of her. An offer comes in. A smaller company. Real ownership over the work. A pay cut for the first year. She makes a spreadsheet. Pros, cons, numbers. By the second night, the spreadsheet says leave. So she texts her closest friend, then her mother, then a former colleague who took a similar leap 2 years earlier. Then, almost as an afterthought, the therapist she sees once a month. Her mother's answer comes back fast, and it's blunt. Bad time to take a risk like this. The market's uncertain. Stay where it's safe. It's not a stupid answer. It's not even wrong, necessarily. Her mother has watched people gamble on smaller companies and lose. Maya reads it twice. Then, without responding to a single point in it, she opens a new message to someone else. This happens 3 more times. Not because the next 3 people are smarter, because none of them yet have said the thing she already decided. Her closest friend says something non-committal, careful, clearly trying not to be the deciding vote. And Maya, without quite admitting it to herself, is a little disappointed that the friend didn't just say yes. The therapist's answer is the odd one out. She doesn't say stay or go. She writes back a single question. What does it feel like in your body when you imagine still being at the old job a year from now? Maya reads it, doesn't answer it, and closes the message. It's the only response in the whole thread that isn't trying to hand her a verdict, and it's the one she has no use for at all. On the 5th message, her old colleague writes back, "Take it, you'll regret staying more than you'll regret trying." And something in Maya's chest lets go, not because this 5th opinion outweighs the other 4. One text from someone who made a similar jump isn't stronger evidence than a spreadsheet she built herself. Because now, if it goes badly, there's a name attached to the version of the story where leaving made sense. 5 people, 1 spreadsheet, and a decision she had made on night 2, which is a fairly expensive way to confirm something you already knew. So the responsibility-splitting story is real. It's just not the whole story. And here's the gap in it. If Maya only needed 1 person to share the blame with, she could have stopped at her mother's answer, disagreed with it, found 1 other opinion, and been done in 2 rounds. 2 people would have covered it. Why did it take 5? Because dividing responsibility for the future wasn't actually the thing she was avoiding. Saying the sentence out loud was, watch what happens the second that 5th message lands. Maya doesn't read it and think, now I'm confident this is the right choice. She reads it and thinks, now I'm allowed to say it. The decision didn't change in that moment. Her permission to admit she'd already made it did. Every question before that one wasn't building a case for the best choice. It was postponing the moment she'd have to stand in front of her own decision with no one else in the room. As long as the question is technically still open, she doesn't have to. The people she's asking were never a jury weighing evidence. They were a waiting room she could sit in for a little longer before walking through the 1 door she'd already chosen. This is why the mother's blunt stay didn't slow her down. A good argument was never going to end the search. Only permission could, and permission isn't something you can talk yourself into. It has to come from outside, or it doesn't count. It's also why the therapist's question went unanswered. She wasn't being asked to decide, only to notice what she already felt. The one thing the whole search was built to avoid. The spreadsheet was information. The 5th message was a witness. So here's what do you think I should do, is actually doing. It's not a request for information, and it's not only insurance against a bad outcome later. though that part is real too. Underneath both of those, it's a way to postpone one specific moment, the one where you say, out loud, alone, what you already know you want. Every question is a small, socially acceptable way of not getting there yet. The first cost is the obvious one. Every extra round of asking doesn't move you closer to the decision. It delays the point where you can actually start acting on the one you already made. Maya spent 4 extra days collecting opinions she wasn't going to use. 4 days the new company was waiting on an answer. 4 days is nothing. Do this every time a decision matters, for years, and it adds up to something closer to a personality. Thoughtful. People will call it, which is a kind way of saying she takes a long time to admit what she already thinks. The second cost is quieter, and it's the one that compounds. People notice the pattern before you do. Not that you're careful, that you don't trust your own read on your own life. And slowly, they start hesitating too, before they answer you. Because some part of them can feel that whatever they say isn't really going to be the thing that decides it. They stop offering strong opinions. They start hedging back at you, matching your caution with their own, because nobody wants to be the fourth vote that gets quietly discarded. And the people who do keep giving you honest answers, the ones who won't play along, start to feel like the hard ones. Not because they're wrong more often, because they're the only ones who won't hand you the thing you're actually shopping for. So the next time you catch your thumb hovering over someone's name, about to type, "What do you think?" it might be worth checking the other pocket first, the one where the answer's already written down. The strange part was never that she didn't know. It's that knowing was never going to be enough. Not until someone else said it back to her first. What would you actually have to admit if you stopped asking?